Hello everyone, Artemu the Violet Wizard here, and today we're continuing the Pokémon SoulSilver Nuzlocke. Last time we managed to win our first gym badge in Violet City, and it was actually a kinda hectic battle. Oh man, I am very glad we managed to get through that without any fatalities. And we made our way to Azalea Town, checking out a few of the sights around here, but not really starting much of the plot in this area, which we will be taking care of in this session. Hopefully we should be clearing up everything in this area and then moving on to the next town. So before we begin this session, just wanted to quickly go over our team, as there's been a few changes since last time. So this is the team that I am going with for this session. I wanted to train everyone up to at least level 15 so that they're prepared for some of the fights coming up, because we can probably expect to see quite a bit of resistance going forward. I've also brought Charlotte along with us this time because I just feel like she'll be pretty useful to us. Bug and Poison is an interesting typing, and just the fact that she was the Pokemon we got from the Mystery Egg that started this whole adventure in the first place, I feel like it's necessary that we bring her along for a bit. Also be just fun to use. Also decided to bring along Dottie, and as we can see here, both Dottie and Walker have now evolved. Yeah, I just decided to train them up off screen, and since they evolve at level 14 and 15 respectively, I figure why not? We'll just get them evolved so that they're all ready for the fights ahead. So they're looking much stronger since last time. And also got some interesting abilities. So Dottie now has Drizzle, which will make it rain every time she enters battle. That works out pretty well with Snorkel, not so much with Sun though. And then Walker now has Dry Skin. So Walker pretty much will gain a water immunity because of this, but he also gains a fire weakness. So yeah, we gotta be careful with which Pokemon we're using these guys against, because that could really turn battles for the worst. I do like having a Furret at this point. It's a pretty strong Pokemon at this point in the game, although it's probably gonna fall off compared to some of our other Pokemon as we go on. How do you know all this, Liz? Yeah, that is some interesting little bit of additional lore added in to Heart Gold and Soul Silver. The Kimono Girls do have some connection to the legendary Pokemon we'll be encountering as our journey progresses. But we're going to move away from that for now because it's time we get started on the main plot of this section of the game. First, we want to grab our obligatory Apricorn that can be found in this tree. And let's go check out the man who specializes in Pokeballs. The Slowpoke are gone. Were they taken away by bad people? Yes, they have. Who are you? July, eh? You want me to make some balls? Sorry, but that'll have to wait. Do you know Team Rocket? Don't worry, I'll tell you anyhow. Team Rocket's an evil gang that uses Pokemon for their dirty work. They're supposed to have disbanded 3 years ago. Anyway, they're at the well, cutting off Slowpoke tails for sale. So I'm gonna go give them a lesson in pain. Hang on, Slowpoke, old Kurt is on his way! Always had a bit of an attachment to the Azalea portion of the Pokemon anime, just because Kurt's an interesting character with him being a Pokeball crafter. And also the fact he's a little significant because the main reason that Ash, Misty, and Brock went to the Johto region in the first place was to give Kurt the GS ball so he can figure out what's with it. That didn't end up going anywhere. Now we talk with Kurt, the path to the Slowpoke well has now been cleared. Also, like in the remake, the well is in this depression in the ground, which is certainly a unique little addition here. Let's hop on down. Slow. Well, didn't take too long to find you. Hey there, July. The guard up top took off when I shouted at him, but then I took a tumble down the well. I slammed down hard on my back so I can't move. Rats! If I were fit, my Pokemon would have punished them. Ah, can't be helped. July, show them how gutsy you are in my place. Alright, that we shall. The safety of the Pokemon Azalea Town is now in our hands. Take on Team Rocket. But first, time to get our obligatory Slowpoke Well encounter. Ooh, Spearow. Now, sadly, that is one of the low-priority Pokemon that I have brought up so much during a couple of streams. So, we're not going to be able to use this guy unless we exhaust all of our other options. But it's still nice to catch you and just get you out of the way. Just a refresher, my personal rule for this Nuzlocke run is that I am limiting myself to only using Pokemon that I have not brought to the Hall of Fame in any of my previous stream series. And since Fearow was on my champion team in my original Gold streams, that means we're not going to be using Spearow unless we get really desperate. Alright, since the Fearow we used back in our original Gold streams, I named you Halberd. So, how about we call you Javelin? Just name you after another type of weapon. Yep, that's our encounter for this area, which means we are now out of catches until we can get the next badge. Oh boy. It's got quite a few things to do before we can go find some new teammates. But let's take on this creep. I was standing guard up top when some old coot yelled at me. He startled me so much I fell down here. How about I vent my anger and take it out on you? After 3 years of absence, Team Rocket has returned. They're nowhere near as abundant as they were back in the Generation 1 games or their remakes, but still a legitimate threat to the Johto region here. I actually kind of like that in the lore, that they're kind of just trying to rebuild their organization after Giovanni abandoned it all that time ago. It is certainly an interesting way to try and add more depth to the organization, seeing them struggle to regain their original reputation and power. Definitely one of the aspects of this storyline that I do enjoy with the Pokemon series. Also, it makes sense that at this portion of the story that these guys would be focusing on just kind of the small stuff, like illegally poaching Slowpoke tails in order to sell. It's also that they can make money in order to invest in their later plans. So it all fits very nicely with what's going on here, with them rebuilding their organization. Alright, one more hit should take out this Meryl. Not used to seeing Team Rocket using such cute Pokemon. But then again, I have seen a few new episodes of the anime that have showcased Team Rocket using some unorthodox Pokemon. Like, there was one episode I really liked where Jesse and James got to use a Charizard and an Aggron that they used against Ash and Brock. Aw, oh, man, that was a fun one. Alright, our buddy is a little bit on the poison side here. How do you poison a ghost? They have no circulatory system. I also made sure that I had enough. I bought a couple more healing items to make sure we're prepared for the fights ahead. Cause, yeah, we got a lot of conflict to get through here. Yep, our team is looking pretty good. Yeah, something I wanted to do with arranging my Pokemon team in this session is I want to make sure I had a good diversity of types, especially ones that be able to cover some of the weaknesses that we were previously having. And I think for the most part we did pretty good with that. Like, I always try to have the main trio of water, fire, and grass covered whenever I am playing a Pokemon game. I don't always do that, but I always try to fit that trio into some of my teams. So, last couple of days have been pretty interesting. It hasn't been a whole lot of time since the last stream session I did, so not a whole lot's really changed in my life since then. But in terms of some other stuff that's been going on, I do have a few things I want to talk about. Namely, one announcement that is a little disheartening for some people. Alright, just wanted to check and see what that item was before I started going on this discussion. So it was recently announced that Charles Martinet, the voice actor for Mario, Luigi, and a lot of other Nintendo characters, will be stepping down from his role of voicing these characters very soon. And yeah, that's definitely hit me pretty hard. Like, the Super Mario Bros. Games have been a part of my life since I first started playing video games. And getting to just experience this world, especially with Charles Martinet's interpretation of the characters, because he always puts in so much great effort into characterizing these characters. And yeah, it's just very disheartening to hear that he's going to be retiring. But I guess it's a bittersweet moment too, because from what we hear with the Mario voice actor in the upcoming game Super Mario Bros. Wonder, apparently he's done it really good. Like, the voice actor is clearly doing a really good interpretation of Mario, how it sounds so similar to Charles Martinet's original voice. And yeah, I'm very hopeful that the new voice actors we get are going to be good follow-ups to Martinet's legacy. He really did put so much character into these characters, and we really wouldn't have them as they know them without Martinet's influence. So yeah, I am a little sad that this era of the Mario franchise is coming to an end, but hopefully things are going to be good for us, and Martinet has clearly earned his retirement. Alright, I believe around here we could probably find an ice heal. It is interesting, we could run into an ice type pretty early on, given how the randomizer is going to work. Quit taking slowpoke, Tails! We listen to you, Team Rocket's rep would be ruined! You guys lost to a 10-year-old 3 years ago. Your reputation is already in tatters. This guy's using a puny little Pidgey. What can you expect to do against us? Yeah, our team is definitely more than equipped for dealing with these guys in terms of levels. But it was mainly training for something else we get to see in this session, not really these guys. So, it's all good. And you got a Zigzagoon. You're just really bringing in all the early game Pokemon, aren't you? Which isn't too far off from what Team Rocket usually uses, I guess. Snorkel's getting so fast. And last one is a Meryl. Sadly, we don't really have a lot on Snorkel that can work with that. How about we give Dottie a chance of this and kind of show off what she's all about now that she's a new addition to the team. Also, I am well aware that for the first Nuzlocke series I am ever streaming on Twitch, I'm happening to use the Pokemon that is pretty much iconic with the Nuzlocke Challenge. Yeah, for those who are familiar, the Nuzlocke Challenge spawned from a comic that was posted many years ago on 4chan. And it got shared around a bunch of other places, and that helped build up the challenge with a lot of people. And during that comic, the main character had a Seedot, which I also caught. And at one point, the Seedot gets the face of a character from the TV series Lost. specifically the face of the character John Locke, and it says a very iconic quote that has become synonymous with this whole challenge, where it goes, "I believe this is happening for a reason." And that character has definitely been, I don't know, just the image of a Seedot or a Nuzleaf with the John Locke face. It's pretty much synonymous with this challenge, and it's definitely resonated with a lot of people. Of course, nowadays I think people mainly know Nuzlocke challenges from like Pokemon Challenges or Jaden Animations, which, I mean, that's a fine enough exposure to this challenge, but seriously recommend reading some of the early Nuzlocke comics. They hold up pretty well. Slowpoke with its tail cut off. Huh? It has mail. Read it. Be good and look after the house with Grandpa and Slowpoke. Love, Dad. Really goes to show just how brutal Team Rocket is. They're not just taking wild Slowpoke for harvesting. They're taking beloved pets and friends as well. Gotta put a stop to this. What do we have here? I'm often labeled as the scariest and cruelest guy in Team Rocket. I strongly urge you not to interfere with our business. So now we're facing off against Executive Proton. Yep, all the big important members of Team Rocket from the original games are now given exclusive designs and even names, in order to set them apart from the other typical Team Rocket people. And I'm all for it, even though these guys really don't have that much character, barring a few exceptions. Let's see what this meanie's got. So Proton's next Pokemon is Eevee. Oh, that's a surprise. There's always someone who doesn't agree with us. I mean, you guys have clearly picked the wrong side of the alignment table to be on. I mean, in a world with superpowered animals, it does make sense that there would be people who would exploit them for nefarious purposes. I definitely know there'd be a lot of people like Team Rocket in the real world if Pokemon were an actual thing that existed. Alright, but we handled that battle pretty nicely. And that's the end of Proton's plans. Gah, for a kid to be this good, I didn't see it coming. Team Rocket was indeed broken up 3 years ago, but we continued our activities underground. A small obstacle like you won't be much of a problem for our mission. I advise you to be very afraid of what's to come. That's the problem with people like Team Rocket. They're not so easily dissuaded from stopping. Way to go, July! Team Rocket's taken off. My back's better too. Let's get out of here. Hi, July! You handled yourself like a real hero! As I mentioned before, Team Rocket was disbanded by a boy called Red 3 years ago. No, that's not right. His name was Hayden. Now that they have come back, I have a bad feeling about it. In any case, it would please me greatly to make Pokeballs for a trainer like you, July. This is all I have now, but take it. So we are gifted a fast ball from Kurt. You have apricorns for me. Fine, I'll turn them into Pokeballs. So this is the main use for apricorns. Not the only one, but one of the pretty nice uses of apricorns is that we can give them to Kurt, and we just have to wait a day and then come back, and then he will have crafted us some free Pokeballs for us. I'll go into the Pokeballs and their effects in more detail later on, but for the most part I'm just going to give him some for our plans here. So we're going to start off by giving him some of the green apricorns. You're able to give him as many as you want, so we're just going to go ahead and give him all of our greens. It'll take a day to make you a Pokeball. Come back for it later. That's right. I'll give you my grandpa's number. That is pretty helpful. You can call Kurt at any point if you want an update on the Pokeballs. But since he always crafts them in a day, so it's not that bad to who have to wait for them. So yep, he's gonna be working on those Pokeballs. I'm working, don't bother me. It's also like part of his house is dedicated to being the crafting area, which is pretty nice. Alright, so that taken care of, let us go heal up since our team has done quite a bit of work down in the Slowpoke well. Also want to check out that Spearow we caught. We're probably not going to use it this entire run, but, you know. Excuse me. Alright, so Spearow has Super Luck. That is a really good nature, improving your critical hit rate. Aw, man, that's really making me regret the rules I put. Because that's a really good Spearow. As nothing can be done about that. I think we're gonna dedicate a special box for the Pokemon that are going to be restricted. I feel like it'd just be nice to get them out of the way. Alright, we don't have much space here. I'll probably come up with a better name for it later, but just be the lower box. For the ones that are not going to see the light of day until the reserve box has been completely drained. That's right, as long as we have at least one Pokemon that I have not previously brought to the Hall of Fame in a previous stream, we're not going to be using certain Pokemon. And that's going to make this challenge a heck of a lot trickier to get through, I assure you. Alright, so before we take on our next objective, I just want to say one thing. Be very careful when going around the western section of this town. Because if you approach the entrance to Ilex Forest after dealing with Team Rocket, a certain thing can happen that can catch you off guard, and I'd rather that not happen. Alright, but that handled, how about we check out the store, as I was thinking of buying a few more healing items, just to make sure we're prepared for what we're gonna do. We don't have much money at this point, even though we have acquired quite a few useful items that we could sell. And I don't believe we have any more. Well, nothing I really want to part with. Alright, so with our preparations set, I think it's time we go take on the gym after we take care of a few things around here. Just want to go pick up a couple more apricorns here. I want to make a point in between stream sessions of making sure that I collect as many apricorns as I can. Because if you just manage to be very consistent with picking up Pokeballs from apricorn trees, you pretty much never have to buy another regular Pokeball ever again. Because you could just focus on getting the higher tier Pokeballs, and then using the balls you get for free from apricorns in order to just have the basic Pokeballs for catching Pokemon. Speaking of which, how about we go over that one Pokeball we got from Kurt? The fast ball is a Pokemon that makes it easier to catch fast Pokemon. I believe specifically the effect that that Pokeball gets is that it makes it a better chance of catching Pokemon that will run away from you, which are very infrequent in this game, so we don't have to worry too much about that. The Slowpoke have returned, but my Farfetch'd haven't come back. My apprentice has gone to look for them in the Ilex Forest. It's been ages now. Where in the world is that lazy guy? Feel like it's always just a trend about a character assuming that their apprentice is lazy, when there's probably other circumstances that getting involved. But for now, it's time to head into our second gym. Leader Bugsy, the walking Pokemon encyclopedia. Oh man, I am a little worried for this gym for a few reasons. And yes, it has entirely to do with the fact that this is a same strength randomizer. Oh boy. Yo, Challenger! Bugsy made this gym. It's a huge nest of bug-type Pokemon. Bugsy's young, but he's a master of bug-type Pokemon. It's gonna be tough without my advice. Let's see, bug-type Pokemon don't like fire. Flying-type moves are super effective too. That would be the case in the vanilla games, however, this is a randomizer. So this gym is quite different from last time. In this generation, we have these platforms that are shaped like Spinnerack that we can hop on, and they will cross the tight ropes over to get to the other side of the arena. But you want to be careful, as the Spinnerack platforms will always go in the... well, whenever they come to a junction, they will always turn to the left or right. So you want to... You will always make sure that you choose the right platform that will take you to the other side. I just wanted to take this one because it would lead us to a battle, and it's good to get some extra experience in. But anyway, we got ourselves a neat little battle for Charlotte's debut on the team. And yeah, I was not surprised by this outcome. Sunkern is statistically the weakest Pokemon in the series at this point. And yeah, there's really not much else to it. Even Igglybuff's not going to be too bad. Sure, it is download, but I'm not expecting it to have anything that's going to be bad for us. Show off Charlotte's special move. Because we hatched her from the egg that Togepi would have hatched from, she gets a unique move in Extra Sensory, which is the move that Togepi would have hatched with, which I think is a very nice detail in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, since the Pokemon egg has a lot more significance in this game than it did in the originals, for certain lore reasons we'll eventually get to. You proved how tough you are. Yep, using your gym's own type against you. Being in this gym, I feel like I've turned into a bug Pokemon. Not exactly the most pleasant mental image. I mean, I do like insects myself. I've always been fascinated with them ever since I was a kid. Alright, next fight. Snorkel should be pretty close to a level up, so you can still take the lead. Bug Pokemon evolve young, so they get stronger that much faster. That they do. It's a nice little quirk when you get to see like certain types of Pokemon having certain characteristics that are pretty consistent. For instance, a lot of bug Pokemon evolve very quickly, and as such have pretty good stats in the early game, but will eventually drop off in usefulness as you progress farther along and encounter much stronger Pokemon. So, typically I do recommend using bug Pokemon in the early game, especially if you're doing a Nuzlocke run, because just getting a fully evolved bug Pokemon really early on can really save your bacon in a few key battles. It is a heavily underrated type, I feel, and I feel like a lot more people should start using them more. Little concerned about this Butterfree. Sun does have a super effective move for this thing, but I know for a fact that Butterfree will probably have a super effective attack. I'm gonna lead with Smoke Screen and just try to lower this thing's accuracy, and then we'll gauge what's gonna happen. Add Sleep Powder. And we got a Sandstorm to worry about. Alright, let's see what Snorkel can do to this thing. It's a little lower level than us. Oh yeah, that's an easy free hit kill. We should be fine. So, what's some other stuff that's been going on recently? Well, we actually had some recent Pokemon news today. It was very fun. They released a special little video that I felt was just really cool. The presentation talking about one of the new Pokemon they'll be featured in the Scarlet and Violet DLC. Wow, just sending out Magikarp against me. So the new Pokemon they showed off is a Pokemon that bears a lot of resemblance to the Sinistea family that was originally introduced in Generation 8. But it's going to count as like a completely separate Pokemon, which is pretty typical of some of the stuff that was introduced in Scarlet and Violet, such as Wiglet and Toadstool. And it's pretty cute. It's called Poltergeist, and it's a grass ghost-type Pokemon. It's inspired by like a tea set where it's a jar full of matcha powder, and it's pretty cool. Just really like its design. It's very cute. Definitely has that very authentic Japanese aesthetic to it, and just a detail I really like with this Pokemon is that it like uses its matcha powder to mend broken objects by filling in the cracks with its powder, which is based on a Japanese art form called kintsugi, where someone uses gold dust in order to repair broken china, which I feel is just very cool. Like, look up pictures of kintsugi and you can just really see just how cool it is. Alright, we can get into a battle if we flip that switch. That will lower the corresponding rope to that color, so our Spinarak platform will not go over that rope. You say though a Slowpoke? Woo, you're mighty! My grown-up Pokemon are pretty tough too. I don't even know if you're gonna use fully evolved Pokemon given how this randomizer is, but we'll see. Carvanha! Yeah, that is definitely not fully evolved, but that is very strong. I do want to watch out for this. Maybe Charlotte can handle this. Yeah, we should be good. So what I really like about bug types, they're actually one of the few Pokemon that can hit dark types for super effective damage in this generation, which definitely gives Charlotte a nice edge over these kind of Pokemon. Ooh, that was a big hit. Yeah, Carvanha is a really strong Pokemon, so definitely expecting this thing to do some heavy damage to us, and it delivered. Yeah, Erg is right, buddy. God, just one bad roll there, and we could have easily lost our little baby. I'm not ready to lose a Pokemon yet. God, it always seems like you're most likely to lose a Pokemon in the early game just because your Pokemon are pretty low level and their stats aren't all that good and their movesets are not fully developed. Once you get later into the game, I feel like Nuzlocks really aren't too bad, because once you build a good enough team with good type variety and a great selection of moves, you're pretty much set to just clear most of the battles without any problems. Here we got ourselves a double battle here against two Togepi, go figure. Alright, this should be a pretty simple battle for us. Charlotte, you can leech life to get some more HP back. And Sun, you can go punch that one. So yep, this is our first instance of a double battle in this game, where you get to use two Pokemon in the field at the same time. Double battles, I feel, are just such a great addition to the series, because there's so much great applications you can use for strategies when it comes to double battles, especially if you manage to have two Pokemon in the field that synergize very well with each other. Oh man, it's so good. You can keep leech lifing to gain HP, probably unless Sun kills this thing. Nope, never mind, he's gonna hit himself at confusion. Just such an annoying little thing we have to deal with. Also, hello, Lydia, welcome to the stream. I'm Not too worried about Togepi here. This thing mostly has status moves at this point, and even if it did have an attacking move, it's got baby Pokemon stats. It's not doing a lot of damage. But these are the things that I'm not worried about when it comes to this gym. Oh no, we're gonna get into what that is much later. Our bug Pokemon lost, what a shame. It wasn't a bug. Well, thank you for thinking that I'm strong. So now I want to flip the switch on this side so that we can go over here and we can flip this red switch, which lowers that and allows us to get to the gym leader. Alright. I definitely like the forest theme they have going on with this gym. It's very nice. Definitely feels like a place where like a lot of bugs can just jump out at you. Thankfully, we're at a point in the series where there aren't a whole lot of bugs that are, like, really powerful. But there are a few rare exceptions. Well, we're probably not going to see a bug type from this gym leader. Or we might, given what the same strength rules typically do. Alright. This is going to sound weird, but I actually want to have a strong lead for this battle. So we're going to put Walker up front. So I feel like he would be pretty good here. Because the battle against Bugsy here in Heart Gold and Soul Silver plays a bit different from how it does in the original games. I'm very worried about this, but let's do this.
I'm Bugsy. I never lose when it comes to bug-type Pokemon. My research is going to make me the authority on bug-type Pokemon. Let me demonstrate what I've learned from my studies.
Well, we do have a bug-type Elite Four member, so let's say you're well on your way to becoming quite the expert. Flareon! Oh boy. Okay, that's probably not going to be too bad for us. But yeah, as you can no doubt tell by him sending out this level 17 Pokemon, Bugsy in this game does not pull punches. He'll send out his ace right off the bat, which if you're playing the original games is a Cypher. One of the absolute strongest Pokemon that you can be facing at this point in the game. That thing is brutal. We could switch over to Snorkel to take this thing out. However, I want to see if we can soften this Flareon up a bit. Walker's got pretty good stats by this point, and he has access to quick attack, so we can do some pretty good damage. Alright, I do not want to risk Walker getting burned or taking a crit from this thing, so I think it's time we switch over to Snorkel. Flareon is a pretty strong Pokemon by this point in the game. It has very high attack, so this thing can deal some pretty heavy damage to us, and its special attack isn't that bad either. And also has some pretty high special defense, so yeah, that water gun wasn't doing a whole lot of damage. If only Snorkel had a stronger water-type move we could take advantage of here. Oh, that did a heavy hit. I guess right now all we can do is go for the water gun. Also worried because this thing has been using sand attack, and that can be a real pain. Just making it less likely for a Pokemon to score hits. Alright, really feels like raw damage isn't going to be too useful here. So I'm going to try to use Smoke Screen so that we can hamper its attacks. Because just getting a free turn to do anything planned would be really helpful. And at the very least, wasting turns is good for Snorkel because his speed is going to go up every turn. So whatever we do, we are definitely going to outclass this Flareon in a few areas. Oh, that's a nasty hit. Alright, we got at least one Smoke Screen on, so we're probably good. I am resorting to our Super Potions here just so I can make sure Snorkel is at full health, because against this kind of Pokemon, we're going to need all the health we can get. Come on, just need this thing to miss once. And we're good. I was a little worried because Bugsy also has healing items. At the very least, we caused Flareon to use up its berry. So, we have that going for us. Now, you're probably thinking it's kind of cheap that I just keep healing my Pokemon whenever they take a lot of damage. And there are quite a few people in the Nuzlocke community who have special rules that limit their use of healing items in battle. And I have my utmost respect for people who play with those rules. I, however, do not care, trying to keep my Pokemon alive as much as possible. Alright, there's potion healing up Flareon. So back to square one here. Shouldn't be too bad, though. We just get a few more hits in. Ugh, I do not like that sand attack. If things get really bad, we're gonna probably need to switch Snorkel out for someone else, just so that we can try to reset your accuracy, because this is a pain. At the very least, this thing isn't attacking us right now, which is giving us more turns to act. There we go, it missed an Ember. Very good. Come on, Snorkel, we need to get a hit in. I missed twice in a row, that's very good. Come on, boy, we need this. It is so close, one more hit could do it. Come on, Snorkel! Oh, come on! Okay, I know the next hit is going to kill this thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch to Sun. And thankfully that thing has nothing to interfere with our switch. Alright, now what I want to do here, just wait for this thing to attack. And then, Mach Punch, baby! God, this is why I love having priority moves. Just being able to always get that guaranteed kill on the opponent. So good. Alright, now we've taken out Bugsy's ace, so what are the next Pokemon going to be? Poochyena. Okay, that is pretty much to be expected. In the vanilla games, Bugsy's other two Pokemon he uses, believe it or not, are Metapod and Kakuna. Not even fully evolved bug types that would actually be useful to his team. Yeah. So pretty much Bugsy's whole deal is that he mainly uses his Cypher to deal the real damage, and just kind of wear out your resources with Metapod and Kakuna thanks to their status move access. Do not want to learn Fury Swipes with you. That is a bad move for you to have. Wait, sorry. Keep all moves. Give up on Fury Swipes. And last Pokemon is Feebas? Seriously? Oh, this is just sad. That is not a good Pokemon to end this off. Come on, man. Alright, we have at least two Pokemon that are very close to leveling up here, so how about we spread out some of this experience, because I know this Feebas isn't going to do anything bad to us. Alright, Snorkel, you come in here to get some experience. Yeah, Feebas, you're pretty much just another Magikarp. I will say that it does have the advantage of actually being able to learn TM moves, which is definitely an edge Feebas gets over Magikarp, but it's pretty much just another Magikarp, a very pathetic Pokemon that has very limited access to moves. If you are able to get it fully evolved, though, it is a great Pokemon. Which, depending on how this run goes, I might actually be lucky enough to get to use a Feebas, which isn't something I had the best opportunity to do in any of my previous streams. Oh boy, there we go. That was quite the tense battle. Well, The tense battle with the Flareon specifically. For that, we taken out another gym.
Whoa, amazing! You're an expert on Pokemon. My research isn't complete yet. Okay, you win. Take this badge.
You didn't even use any Bug-type Pokemon. Hell, your ace was a Pokemon that is specifically good at incinerating bugs.
Do you know the benefits of the Hive badge? If you have a Pokemon up to level 30 will obey you, even traded ones. Pokemon that know Cut will be able to use it outside of battle too. Here, I also want you to have this.
TM89, and if my memory is correct, that's a pretty good one.
That TM89 contains U-turn. Lets your Pokemon attack, then switch with the next Pokemon in your party. Isn't that great?
So that move in particular is a nasty one to get hit by if you are playing the vanilla version of Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Because his Cypher's whole strategy is to dish out massive damage with U-turn, and then switch out for one of Bugsy's other Cocoon Pokemon. And then when they get taken out, he puts in Cypher again, U-turns out to the other Cocoon, which also is going to deal a lot of damage to you. And yeah, you kind of see what's going with this. He is a very nasty trainer to go up against if you're unprepared in Vanilla Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So what a nasty battle. Oh, we got a call from Joey. What's up, my man?
How are you?
I'm feeling good, Joey. Just blazed my way through a gym leader. Hey, do you remember my super cool Slugma? Cool's not the word I would use to describe Slugma in either definition.
My Slugma's different from regular Slugma. It's like my Slugma's in the top percentage of Slugma. Do you know what I'm saying?
God, with how much Slugma praise he's giving me, it feels almost like we're talking to Team 4-Star when they went through Pokemon Soul Silver. Man, I really miss watching those videos. Know that Team 4-Star is prioritizing some other stuff, and two of the people involved with that series, Grant and Kieran, are also playing some games on their own channel that they have. Quite recommend checking them out. It's called The Good Time Zone, and as the name implies, they do have a pretty good time with the games they're playing. God, I'd like to talk a bit more about that, but kind of got other priorities to take care of. Hoo boy, Snorkel, you were definitely the MVP of that last match. We have some good help from Sun as well. Oh man, I knew bringing along this team was a good idea. We are riding pretty high there. But with that battle taken care of, we got another thing to deal with. Let me just check our items here. Yeah, we have a good supply of super potions. We should be fine for what's to come next. Let's actually have Walker in the lead here for this one. Because if we try to go to Ilex Forest now, look who it is. It's the guy who's 1 month behind us. Tell me something. Is it true that Team Rocket's returned? What? You beat them? Quit lying. Are you serious? Then let's see how good you are. God, still can't believe how long it took me as a kid to realize that the entire reason that Silver has so much of beef with Team Rocket is because he's the son of Team Rocket's boss. Definitely adds a lot of layers to this guy. Speaking of things that are, well, we dealing with a Phenom here, which a Pokemon I've gone on record saying during my Pokemon Platinum streams is a completely worthless Pokemon. Sping is a bit interesting because it does learn some type of moves that are atypical of what you'd expect a normal water-type Pokemon to learn, but nothing that's going to be too surprising or bad for us. Also, Walker's ability just completely nullifying this thing's main attacks, so that's fun. I gotta try and remember that Walker's really good to use against water Pokemon, because this guy could be a really good safe switch-in against a lot of Pokemon that would give us trouble otherwise.
Speaking of which, his next Pokemon is a Surskit. Oh my god, the randomizer does not love you today. And given what your next Pokemon is going to be, it's probably not going to like you much either way. Yeah, because in the randomizer, there is a certain setting that you can do specifically for your rivals if they pick up the Pokemon that are also the starter options, as we're no doubt going to see here after Walker levels up. Very nice. His next Pokemon is Kakuna. Wow, I was actually worried about this battle going in. Yeah, there's a setting in the randomizer that will make it so that your rival will always keep the starter option that they select at the very start of the game. And it will eventually go up in stages based on the progress you are in the game. So, in this instance, the Weedle he started off with is now a Kakuna. That's really not going to be that dangerous for us to deal with. Let's send out Charlotte to deal with this thing. So our journey started with us getting Charlotte's egg and then coming across our rival June. And she's going to be the one to take out his starter in our second battle. It's poetic in a way. Also, it's unrelated to the battle right now, but I really like the art I made of the team members that I am using in this session. I think they turned out pretty well. It was definitely fun getting to draw these guys that I haven't really used in a long time. Especially Spinarak, because it's always been a personal favorite of mine ever since I first saw it on a Japanese Pokemon card back in the day. Useless Pokemon! Listen, you'll won only because my Pokemon were weak. I believe that's what he said. I didn't quite catch the end of that. I hate the weak. Pokemon trainers, doesn't matter who or what. I hate to see them hanging around. That goes for Team Rocket, too. They think they're big and tough and as long as they're in a group. But get them alone, and they're weak. I hate them all. You stay out of my way. You won't be an exception if you get in my way. This guy's projecting a bit much, don't you think? I mean, you kind of get what he's going through since he was essentially abandoned by his father as an afterthought while he went to pursue his own ambitions. So it is natural that he wants to prove him wrong and actually try and make something of himself. Isn't that right, Dottie? Well, she was happy with that battle outcome. Don't worry, you're gonna get some action in a little bit. Let's go heal up, even though we really didn't take that much of a beating. But it is nice to restore our power points after a battle. Alright, so now that we dealt with that, it is time to move forward. And we're going to get into something a little bit interesting. Want to check my items. We do have one repel. I'm actually going to buy a few more of these because of something we're going to be doing in the forest. Just want to make sure we have enough of these before we go forward. Yeah, we'll buy 2 of these to give us an even free. Well, odd free, but you know. I also believe the item selection doesn't really change after we beat Bugsy, so it's going to be a little while before we get to see anything new at the stores. Speaking of Bugsy, though, he said earlier that traded Pokemon up to level 3 will be able to obey us. That is a typical rule with the gym badges that you receive on your journey. If you don't have a lot of badges, then Pokemon you receive from other trainers will not see you as worthy of training them, and so they will disobey you in battle, which can definitely be a bit of a hassle to deal with. Ooh, hello there. Aw man, my boss gonna be angry? A Farfetch that cut trees for charcoal took off in the forest. Can you catch them for me? Farfetch have sensitive ears. If you step on a branch, they'll face toward you. That's your chance. Sneak up from behind and catch them. You think you can do that? Sure thing, buddy. Let's gonna solve a little puzzle here involving these Farfetch'd. It seems to face the direction of the noise when you step on a branch. Yeah, I didn't want to go deeper into Ilex Forest in the last session, specifically because of this. It's a little area we're able to explore here in the forest in order to catch these Farfetch. Quah! You snuck up and caught it from behind before it noticed you. Wow, you found a Farfetch! Thank you! But there's one more missing. If you step on a branch, it'll face that way, remember? That's your chance to catch it. So yep, it's a nice little sequence. I definitely like it's a bit more involved than the original version in Gold and Silver. I know, just being able to sneak up on these Pokemon and try to alert them to your presence via the branches is a cool mechanic. Let's see what you are. Yeah, you're over there, so let's just get on you at this side, since there's no way we can make it turn in a way that's useful to us. And while it's standing over there, just want to walk over this way. Step on that branch to make it turn. Want to carefully maneuver ourselves this way. And we gotcha! Quah! Wow, you got me both of them! Thank you so much. My boss's Pokemon won't obey me because I don't have a badge. Phew, you saved me. That I did.
Ah, my far end fetched. You found them for us, kid. Without them, we wouldn't be able to cut trees for charcoal. Thanks, kid. Now, how can I thank you? I know. Here, take this.
We get HM1. Oh boy.
That's the HM cut. Teach that to a Pokemon to clear small trees. Of course, you have to have the gym badge from Azalea to use it.
Oh, Ralph is calling us now. What's this about?
Sup, this is Ralph. How are you? Yesterday, a wild Jumpluff slipped away from me in front of my kid. I was feeling down about it until he shared his Pokeballs with me. That sure made my day. You call your mom sometimes, too.
Wow, he's talking about fishing up a Jumpluff. That's a pretty high-level Pokemon, actually. Surprising to hear him talk about that.
You want to apprentice as a charcoal maker with me? You'll be first rate in 10 years.
I don't have time for that. I'll be almost 40 by then. Yeah, on that subject, though, next week is going to be a pretty important time of my life, as I'm going to be turning 30 on the 30th, which is actually very fitting. But yeah, it's definitely a pretty significant time for me. Man, just thinking back about how I have over 30 years of experience pretty much at this point, it's definitely something. Definitely is putting a lot of things in my life into perspective, and how my current position is with both of my hobbies and my career and how things have developed with my family and stuff. It's been pretty interesting to think about. But moving right along from that, the reason I want to come back to Azalea Town is after catching the Farfetch'd for the charcoal maker back in the forest, if we come back to Azalea Town, I'm sorry I forgot to thank you. This is charcoal that I made. Fire-type moves become more powerful when a Pokemon holds that. We get ourselves charcoal. Much like the Miracle Seed we obtained earlier, that'll boost the power of Fire-type moves when it's held by a Pokemon. So we're going to go ahead and give that to our starter. Very nice. Alright, and with that taken care of, we are pretty much done everything we can do in Azalea Town for the time being. There's one other thing I want to take care of here, but we're not going to do that until a little bit later. So let's head back into the forest. And since we are in here, I think it's time we go take care of some stuff. Namely, we want to teach one of our Pokemon Cut in order to progress farther into the forest. Considering our options here. Walker can learn this, I guess. We're probably going to turn most of our Pokemon that we're going to be using in this run into HM users, and I feel like Walker is a good one for this. You can actually learn quite a lot of HMs, so he'd be pretty useful for that. It's also a damaging move, but I don't recommend using it too much in battle. It's 50 base power, which was decent at this point, but it's also a bit inaccurate, which is why I'm not wholly on board with using it. But yeah, it's kind of just there. And it does have utility being able to open more pathways for us. So there's that at least. So once your Pokemon knows cut, just approach these skinny trees and chop them down. It's that simple. Ilex Forest Shrine. It's a tribute to the Forest Protector. Perhaps we'll meet that particular Pokemon sometime later in our journey. Or maybe not, depends on how the randomizer goes. Examine this spot over here in the forest. We can get a very craftily hidden X-Defend, which is definitely useful. Probably could have tried to use a couple of the X items when we were in that battle against Bugsy, but it wasn't really that necessary, which is why I didn't feel like doing it. Alright, Dottie. I didn't really get a chance to show this off, but earlier when I was training up Dottie, she did learn a very useful attack here, which is going to be her main method of dealing damage until we can learn some other attacks. So Nature Power is quite the interesting move. Nature Power will turn into a specific move based on your environment that you're in. And so because we're standing on a... well, just because of our environment, it turned into a rock slide, which is fairly interesting. These kind of moves are always pretty neat with them having a different effect based on certain criteria. And this one is certainly pretty helpful. Definitely gives Pokemon like Nuzleaf some added type diversity with what they're able to do. Ooh, rare candy. That is definitely helpful. Instantly raise a Pokemon level by 1. Could be very useful to us later. Just want to be careful and see if there's any more items hidden here among the trees. If we get over here, look who it is! There's a guy hitting trees with his face. That's definitely going to kill a few brain cells. What am I doing? I'm shaking trees using Headbutt. It's fun. Here, you try with your Pokemon too. So what we got here is, in my personal opinion, one of the most useful people at this point in the game. Now, what I want to do is go to Walker for this. This guy is basically able to teach Headbutt to a vast majority of Pokemon that you can encounter. And this is a real darn good move. It's 70 base power, which is definitely one of the stronger attacks you can have at this point in the game. And it has the added effect of being able to make the opponent flinch, preventing them from taking an action. And you're able to teach this move to your Pokemon as many times as you want, just by talking to this guy. I might actually teach this to Dottie, just so he has another move in case we're in a situation where Nature Power is not going to be effective. I'm not going to be using Bite anymore. That's kind of an awkward move to really time nicely in a battle, and not one I want to rely on in a Nuzlocke run. That's just going to give you a very solid attack there. I could also teach it to a few other Pokemon, but no one in this current team is someone that I'm really aching to teach Headbutt to. There are some other Pokemon I might come back to teach this move to, like our Rattata, but we'll save that for a bit later. But yeah, it's just a very good move to have. And, believe it or not, now that we have this move, I want to head back to Azalea Town. Yep, that's right, there's something we're able to do in Azalea now that we have this move. I will say, it is just very convenient just being able to teach Headbutt as many times you want by talking to this guy. Because how this worked in the original game is that this character wasn't a move tutor. He would give you the TM for Headbutt at least once. And in doing so, you would be able to buy the TM for Headbutt as many times you want over in the next town, which is certainly useful for giving a solid normal attack to your Pokemon, but it's also a little expensive having to forward so much money just into teaching this one attack to a Pokemon, when there are obviously some better moves you could be teaching your Pokemon to in the long run. But as long as this guy's just a move tutor and he can teach it to us as many times as we want, I don't really feel like it's that bad to invest in it here. Go ahead and bring in as many Pokemon as you want to teach this move to. It's just a very solid attack at this point in the game, and a lot of Pokemon benefit from it. Like, obviously, Pokemon like Rattata and Furret will get a lot of use out of it because of the stab bonus, and even Pokemon that don't have a whole lot of good moves in their moveset early on, like, for example, the Togepi we get from the egg can benefit from this attack as well. God, just another reason why I really like Heart Gold and Soul Silver compared to the originals. There's so many little touches that make things a lot more convenient. Don't worry, Dottie, we'll be giving you some proper battles in a little bit. But I want to go take care of this first. Now, back in Azalea Town, I want to show off the second effect of having the move Headbutt. So if we approach the big trees around here, would you like to use Headbutt? That we shall. So using Headbutt on a tree is able to get us certain things. I don't know why I'm being coy about this, because I'm pretty sure this is something I showed off back in my original Generation 2 streams. But yep, you can Headbutt trees in order to encounter Pokemon. Whoa! Of course I get this one first. So that right there is Heracross. Oh boy. Oh boy, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Thinking about my options here and what we can do to this guy in terms of damage. Pretty sure at that level Nightshade would probably kill. Actually, yeah, I might be able to weaken you with Charlotte. That should be fine. Alright, I wasn't exactly expecting to see this Pokemon. So, I believe the randomizer is a little selective about the various catching methods you're able to get randomized Pokemon from. So, basically, if you just encounter Pokemon normally, like in the grass, or by fishing them up, or by surfing on the water, those all have shuffled encounter tables. But I don't believe that the randomizer will account for Pokemon that are hidden in trees, like with Headbutt. So I'm also pretty sure it also serves like that in Diamond and Pearl when it comes to Pokemon encountered with honey trees. So I'm actually really lucky that I was able to encounter this thing here. Oh man, if we can actually catch this Pokemon for this area, that'd be so good to us. Come on. Yeah, we got it. All right, now why was I being so flippin' excited by this? Heracross is probably one of my favorite Pokemon we can catch in all of Johto. It's usually docile, but if it's disturbed while sipping honey, chase off the intruder with its horn. Yeah, this thing is no joke. It's a bug fighting type, as some of the highest stats you can get of any Pokemon by this point in the game. I am very happy I was able to get this as my Azalea counter. We need us a good name for this guy. Lydia, do you have any suggestions? Because I'm kind of trying to brainstorm my own ideas here. Oh man, this is so good. So what I was kind of thinking is thinking of naming you Scarab, as that's also a species of beetle. And yeah, I mean, not really too much of a... I mean, it does kind of fit you in a lot of ways, and also just kind of thinking about that name because of a certain movie that recently came out that features a blue beetle. Yep, I do like this name. We'll go with Scarab. Oh man, this guy is definitely gonna be at the top of our Pokemon reserves, because goddamn. God, I just hope I got this thing with a good nature and ability, because, oh man, this is so good! So our Heracross is serious with Scrappy. Oh, that ability is very useful to us. Oh, that's so good. It is so good. This thing's only level 5 now, but as you can definitely tell in the stats, this thing hits hard. So yeah, going against what I said earlier about bug Pokemon just being good in the early game, but eventually falling off, Heracross is good the entire game. Just a solid physical attacker, a bit tankier than what you would expect, and it does learn a lot of very strong attacks as it gets farther along its levels. Just such an incredible Pokemon, and definitely one I'm going to be training up later. God, I'm so happy I managed to actually catch this thing. So yeah, sorry Charlotte, but I feel like we may have just encountered our bug type going in the future for this team. Oh man, I'm so excited by this. Okay, so now that all that's taken care of, we took a little bit of damage trying to catch this guy. Let's go heal up. But yeah, before I got totally caught off guard by the Pokemon that we encountered there, what it's saying is that there are some pretty elusive Pokemon that, if you're playing Vanilla Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you'd only be able to encounter them by headbutting trees. So you'd be able to find Pokemon like Apom or Pineco or the aforementioned Heracross that we encountered. And definitely useful for filling up your Pokedex. You want to make sure you encounter as many of these Pokemon that you can get from Headbutt as you can if you are looking to fill up your Pokedex. And it will be pretty useful for us to find some encounters if we want to get them, if we're in a town where no other options are available to us. Because there's really no other way we could encounter a Pokemon in Azalea Town unless we use Headbutt. So that's why I wanted so badly to go back and try and get her encounter there. And as you can no doubt tell by just how happy I am, it was very well worth it. Alright, but now that we got all that taken care of, we pretty much exhausted everything we can do in this area until much later. We will be returning to Azalea a bit later to take care of a few things we need on the Slowpoke well, but for the most part, we're only really going to be visiting here to pick up our Pokeballs from Kurt, which I'll definitely try to get as big of a surplus as I can. If we go up here in the northern part of the forest, look who it is. Kimono girl, lost and all alone. Poor girl lost in the dark Ilex forest. What? You remember me from Violet City? You must be imagining. Anyway, will you show me how to get out of this forest? Yeah, I think I know the way. You will? Aren't you lost in the forest as well? How do you know how to get out of here? Dottie, what are you doing? Wow, are you gonna show me how to get out? You're such a smart Pokemon. See you. I guess that is pretty fitting since Dottie is naturally a forest Pokemon, so her knowing the way out is definitely in line with her. Yeah, of course you'd be enjoying the forest scenery. Ooh, we got an Oval Stone. If we encounter a certain Pokemon, that would be useful to get us a pretty neat evolution. There wasn't anything over there, which is a shame. It looked like there might have been something hidden there. But yeah, we are pretty much done with this forest here. The exit is just ahead of us. Before we leave this area, I do want to briefly mention there is a very rare Pokemon that can be caught in this area, but in order to encounter it, you need to use an event, which in my current setup is not something we're able to do. Oh, I just noticed that item over there now. Are you kidding me? Alright, let's go grab that thing. Better be something good. It's hidden in the trees, so that explains why I didn't notice it earlier. Alright, can we stop encountering all these bugs? We are done everything we needed to do involving bugs in the town. Just crush this thing, please. Again, I do not know why we're using Rock Slide in here. I mean, this place is a dungeon, and most dungeons in the series are caves, so that's probably what this is counting this area as, in terms of a Nature Powers special effect. I don't know, it's just kind of weird. Alright, let's grab Max Potion. Oh yeah, that's going to be useful to us. I hope you don't mind if I just kind of speed things along here. There's really not much else that we can show off in this area, so just want to try and get through here as quickly as we can. Alright, there's the exit. Let's get out of here. Spent way too much time in that forest for my liking. Did you see the shrine that pays homage to the Protector? This Protector watches over the forest from across time. I think it must be a grass-type Pokemon. And how? Free! Oh, honey, you're making a Pokedex. Must be battling all kinds of Pokemon. Try using this TM for a change. She gives us TM12. I'm pretty sure I know what that is. It's Taunt. Using the target Pokemon can only use moves that do damage to your Pokemon for a while. Back in the original Gold and Silver, the TM she gave us would be Sweet Scent, which is pretty useful for triggering Pokemon in the grass if you do not have... Well, it allows you to encounter Pokemon in the grass without needing to take steps for it, which we don't really need to worry about. But we are finally in a new area over here, which is Route 34. And this is the new encounter that we can get in this area. So let's see what we can find. Whoa! Hippopotas! That would be our first ground-type Pokemon, which would be pretty useful. Alright, let us see if we can catch this girl. Although, it's a little disappointing that because of the randomizer, this isn't a Hippopotas that has Sandstream, which is kind of the whole deal with a Hippopotas line normally. Whoop, that thing has a dark move. It didn't do too much damage, not too worried. Just want to soften you up a bit. Alright, and let's go for the catch here. Don't really have any special balls for you, so just go with regular Pokeballs. I do really like Hippopotas. It's a very tanky Pokemon and also very strong. So I could definitely see this thing being useful to our team. Alright. Also, it's pretty funny to me because there's a certain channel that I follow that sometimes does a Nuzlocke video from time to time,
and one of the frequent Pokemon that have typically been on their teams have been the Hippopotas family. So it's almost kind of a meme Pokemon for that specific channel. Alright, but it's got ourselves a big sandy hippo, so what are we gonna call you? I'm open to suggestions there, Lydia, but I do also have a name in mind for you. I was thinking Sahara. Feel like it's very fitting for you. Potato. I do like Potato in terms of a funny name, but I think I'll go with Sahara. Just feel like it fits her very well, as it is a desert-dwelling hippopotamus. Also, I just love the Pokemon series with how it takes a Pokemon that is based on an animal and then puts them in an environment that is atypical for that thing. For example, having a hippo that lives in the desert instead of being around water. That's good. Alright, so let's get into some battles around here, as this area actually has a lot of battles for us. A lot of trainers as we make our way to the next settlement, so let's try to take out everyone we can. Bidoof. We don't have anything on Lydia's moveset that can deal with you, so we'll go to Sun. And while we're taking care of some of the people around here and their Pokemon, how about we talk about some stuff that's been going on? So pretty recently, I have been playing Pokemon X as part of a challenge that I am running with people on a Discord server. Specifically the Maryland Discord server, and it has been pretty fun so far, especially just getting to revisit the Generation 6 games. Because definitely by playing this, it's gotten me to really appreciate what was done with the Kalos region and X and Y in general. Because there is quite a bit of optional content you can do in that game that I've just been reminded of with this current playthrough. Like with the amount of facilities you're able to encounter for doing some battles, and also something that I found really cool is that in the central town of the region, which is Lumio City, there is quite a lot that you're able to do there. Oh, why'd you have to disable Ember? That's my only offensive attack Sun can use on you. What are we gonna do? Kind of risky, but we'll go to Lydia for you. But yeah, just so much you can do with the various facilities in the Kalos region, specifically the ones that are put in Lumio City. Like, there are cafes you can chat with a lot of locals for, there are a lot of shops to explore, and also a boutique that you have to be of a certain fanciness rating just to be able to access. And it has a lot of cool outfits, which is very good with the trainer customization in that game. And there's also some restaurants that you're able to go into to challenge people in order to boost your Pokemon's levels and stuff. And something that I've been really getting into just lately is that area has a hotel that you're able to do part-time jobs for in order to earn money. And that's definitely been pretty helpful to me, especially because I definitely need the money after buying one of the expensive outfits in that town. So yeah, I've just been really having a lot of fun revisiting the Generation 6 games. It definitely has me excited for when I'm eventually going to stream the Gen 6 games. It's not going to be for a little while because I have this playthrough to do, and then I got like 2 other games in the next generation we have to go through, but I am really looking forward to when we get to Kalos. I feel like it's a very underappreciated region these days. And I feel like it'll be very fun, especially with the team I have planned for those streams. Alright, we got a Meditite here. It's kind of interesting because it is a fighting psychic type, which is a cool combination to have. It's also a perfect Pokemon for Lydia to fight here. So
It's one of the few Pokemon we can actually deal stab damage with ghost attacks. Unfortunately, this thing's a little annoying because it loves to spam Detect and just waste your turns. Blech. Let's take this sucker out. There we go. Alright, another level up for Lydia. It's still gonna be so long until Lydia gets evolved, but it's gonna happen sooner than later. Alright, we just got Confuse Ray. We're not gonna need Flash again until much later. Besides, we can always buy this TM later, so we'll forget that for Confuse Ray. That'll definitely be useful on Lydia's moveset. Why don't we show it off right now? Confuse Ray is very damn useful. It is a 100% accurate move that inflicts confusion on the opponent. Really useful if you're able to make it work. Not so much if the opponent is using it against you, but hey, that's just kind of how it goes. Sometimes you get lucky with statuses, and sometimes you don't. But still, this is a really dang good move, and a lot of my runs, I have gotten some good use from Confuse Ray. But sometimes, like right now, things aren't so lucky for us. That's just kind of how it is. Alright, Shinx goes down. So I believe that is it for you. Why does it end this way? Also, what's that kid doing on your back? Oh, hello, Mom. What is it? Alright, just telling us that she's given us an item. So want to head to the department store when we get to the next town. Yep, spoilers, the next city's gonna have a department store in it. I'm so excited for that, because there's gonna be a lot of stuff to talk about. Yeah, just in general, the next area is gonna have so much for us to talk about. We're probably not gonna get to show it off, like, all of it in this session, so definitely gonna make it a goal to do as much as we can there in the next session. Go face this guy now. I'm the best in my class at Pokemon. Alright, let's see what you got there, stool boy. Ian. Oh, he's got a Stunky. Alright, we don't have really a good Pokemon for taking you on, but Charlotte should be able to do just fine. What I'm also really glad for having Charlotte in the team at the moment is that she has access to extrasensory because of her special conditions. Because of her typing, she is not only resistant to poison attacks, but she also is completely immune to taking the poison status, which is definitely going to be very helpful. She's definitely a Pokemon that is very built nicely for dealing with poison-type Pokemon. Not so much with Stunky, because this thing is part dark, and thus we're not going to be able to do any psychic damage to you, but hey, that's just what we gotta do. Stunky can be a little annoying because these things get Screech early on, and that can be a real pain. That thing lowers a Pokemon's defense 2 stages. So if you're not careful, that thing can just really sap your Pokemon's stats, and then your opponent will deal a lot of damage to you. And yeah, I'm probably going to switch out now, because Charlotte is really not going to be useful against this thing. Especially because if she would take a hit from a Shinx, that would probably take her out. Definitely want to be mindful of your Pokemon's stat changes in the middle of a battle, as I have seen a lot of people completely ignore a Pokemon's stat drops and assume their Pokemon were fine, only to then take a large amount of damage and get knocked out. Whoa! Okay, was not expecting that. So I guess because we're on a sandy path, Dottie's nature power got turned into Earthquake. That is a 100 base damage ground attack. And we're able to do that so early in the game. Oh my god. If you transfer into my class, I become the second best student in my class, wouldn't I? Alright, there's another person that we can register into our phone. I don't believe he's someone I recommend registering if you are playing the original games. Also believe in this grass patch, yeah, there is one more trainer that we can face down here. Let's heal up Charlotte. Not too worried about our supplies right now because we are really close to a town. So we'll go take care of that very soon. Well, this gives us an opportunity to check on some of the other Pokemon that we could encounter here. Barboach, that's pretty neat. Also would actually be a really useful Pokemon to us because that thing is a water ground type. And water ground type Pokemon are pretty useful, especially in a Nuzlocke run because they only have one weakness, and that is grass. And depending on which game you're Nuzlocking, that can be pretty useful to you because some games may not have a grass type specialist, in which case it makes these Pokemon a lot more useful. Let's use Nature Power in here. So because we're in the tall grass, Nature Power turns into Seed Bomb, which is a pretty strong grass-type attack. I believe it's 80 base power, and it works very well for Dottie because she's a grass-type herself. If we go over here in the middle of this grass here, we got this trainer. Are you a trainer? Let's have a practice battle. So I highly recommend both if you're playing Crystal or the remakes to battle Picnicker Gina. Ooh, she has a Wobbuffet. Okay, at that level, it's not going to have the things that Why Not are really infamous for. So we should be good. But you do want to watch out if you encounter this specific Pokemon later on, because this thing can blindside you with some nasty attacks. But yeah, the reason I recommend fighting a Picnicker Gina, if you're playing a Crystal, Heart Gold, or Soul Silver, if you battle Gina, you will register her into your phone. And she is fairly unique among the various trainers that you can register, in that registering her will grant you access to being able to be gifted a very rare item that you would not normally be able to get in this game very easily. Specifically, she is able to gift you Leaf Stones, which are very useful for evolving Pokemon, which, in the kind of challenge like this, trying to get evolved Pokemon way earlier than you'd normally be able to get them is definitely useful. Especially with our current team setup because we have Dottie, and Dottie evolves with the Leaf Stone. Oh yeah, these birds have rough skin, I forgot that detail. So yeah, that's why I highly recommend talking with Gina. She can be a lifesaver, especially because a lot of Pokemon evolve with Leaf Stone. So just registering her will make it very beneficial if you happen to come across those specific Pokemon. Oh no, I just can't win! Sorry, them's the breaks. Whenever I see a strong trainer, I want to be their cheerleader. On a walk, I sometimes pick up items. If I find anything, you can have it. Oh yes, definitely want to make sure we have Gina registered. I'll call as soon as I get anything. Good to hear. Yeah, but team's looking good right now. Oh, Combee. Boy, am I glad I didn't get this thing as my first encounter, especially with this thing being a male. Walker, you can handle this one. I don't really feel like sending Sun out against a Pokemon that can potentially deal super effective damage. I mean, it's only a Combee. Its stats really aren't all that great, but even still, I don't like to see my Pokemon take heavy damage. There we go. Very nice. And Charlotte's getting a level up. She's actually pretty close to when she's going to evolve, which is nice. It's only going to be a couple more levels, sadly. Alright, let's let our starter get some action since it's been a while. Grandpa! Oh, look who it is. Good work, Grandpa. The Pokemon you raised for me has been as healthy as can be. You look fit, too. Hey, July! Let me introduce you. This is July. She's a trainer. She seemed to be getting better at raising Pokemon. Well, not as good as you, Grandpa, of course. Follow me, July. Sure. So what's the deal with this place? Grandma, let me introduce my friend. This is July. Aha, this is your girlfriend. I see. What, Grandma? What are you talking about? She just happens to live nearby. I know. Since you took her, Ethan, you must be sure about her talent. Right, July? Come and see us anytime. Well, better go now. See ya! Bit of an awkward moment. Oh, I almost forgot. Here, this is my Pokegear number. Wow, so sudden, Ethan. You know you can talk to your Pokemon as they follow you? They'll do sort of cute stuff on the road and in towns. I'm taking notes every time they do funny things. Give me a call and I'll share some of them with you. Grandma, don't just say anything. We're both trainers and we're supposed to exchange numbers. That's all. So I love Meryl being like, yeah! So yeah, this area. It's very useful if you're looking to raise Pokemon or even fill up your Pokedex. This is the Pokemon Daycare. The rules here are very simple. You can deposit up to 2 Pokemon here, and while they're here, for every step you take on the world map, that is 1 experience point that Pokemon will gain as long as they are here. So it's a nice, easy way to build up your Pokemon levels if you're not currently using them in your party, which is already pretty helpful. However, this area is also where we're able to get eggs. So if you leave a male or female Pokemon that are compatible, then they will leave an egg. And you can then use those eggs in order to hatch Pokemon for your team, which can be pretty useful. I have an idea. I'll give you our numbers. Then you can check on the Pokemon we raised for you. Very nice. We register the numbers for the daycare man and the daycare lady. Yes, calling both of them is useful because they both have distinct things they can tell you about. I believe calling the daycare man will let you know how compatible your Pokemon are in the daycare and will let you know if they have an egg waiting for you. While calling the grandma I'll let you know your Pokemon's current levels in the daycare. So yep, that's all very well and good. We'll say right now, we're not going to be doing any Pokemon breeding in this run. Sometimes there are people in Nuzlocke runs who may feel like it's okay to breed Pokemon, but for me it just seems a little scummy because you can just breed a large amount of Pokemon that can be used as just to have an unlimited number of Pokemon that you can potentially use of a certain species, and I don't feel like that's going to be very kosher in a run like this. Especially one where I want to try to have as many limited catches as I can. So we're not going to be breeding any Pokemon. With that said, if you're specifically playing Pokemon Crystal, there is another thing you can get here at the daycare. Also want to note, this guy here is a police officer. He's a special trainer type that only challenges you at a certain time of day. In this case, he'll only challenge you at night. So definitely watch out for these guys if you're playing these games at a later time. So what I was saying earlier, if you're playing Pokemon Crystal, there is a special egg you can receive at the Pokemon Daycare. This egg can potentially be any of the baby Pokemon that you're able to acquire. Geodude. For you, let's go to Snorkel. So you're able to get pretty much all of the baby Pokemon that can be acquired in that game from that egg. And the species of the Pokemon in the egg is determined the moment you get it. So that could be... Geodude has dry skin? Oh, that is a nasty combination from the randomizer. That is straight up foul. Okay, given what's available to us, I feel like Dottie's gonna be our best option for this Geodude. Yeah, I know, right? Just instantly neutralizes one of your weaknesses. Thankfully, that's only going to affect Geodude during this stage of its life cycle, so we don't have to worry about that probably after it evolves. But yeah, that is nasty to see being thrown at us right now. So thankfully, this thing only decided to start attacking now as it was buffing up its speed. But yeah, like I was saying, the egg's species is determined the moment you pick it up. And when the egg is picked up, it will also determine the shininess of the Pokemon's egg. Which, that egg is very special in that specific egg has a much higher chance of being shiny compared to other Pokemon. And like I said, the species and its shininess is determined the moment you pick up the egg. So if you want to specifically try and get one of those shiny babies, then you have to reset every time it hatches and then pick up the egg again, because otherwise it's just going to be the same species and then it's not going to be shiny. Which I sadly did not know that particular detail when I was doing my personal crystal run. So I was spending like an hour trying to hatch the egg in order to get a shiny, even though the only thing I was going to get was a non-shiny Magby. So yeah, that was annoying. But yeah, but at least I have the experience to let all of you know that, because it can be a nice little surprise when you're playing the original version of Crystal. Especially because it gives you access to some Pokemon that you wouldn't be able to acquire until much later on. Because especially for a Pokemon like Pichu or Elekid, that's not a Pokemon you're going to see until the second half of the game. So getting one of those early on can be really good for you. Alright, Makuhita, could you kind of stop that? I don't really have a whole lot of fighting counters in our team right now, which is a little unfortunate. So we're definitely going to want to work on that, because being blindsided by a really strong fighting type is not something I want to happen later on in this run. At the very least, Sun is now level 17, which is useful to us. And let us go shuffle around our party here, make sure everything is in order. Alright, Dottie, you can lead for now. And, oh boy! We just picked up the TM for Ice Beam! That's not an attack we're normally supposed to get until the second half of the game! So, much like I said in the last session with Thunderbolt, Ice Beam is easily one of my favorite attacks in the entire series. 95 base power, Ice-type move, has a chance of freezing the target solid, preventing them from doing damage for a couple turns. This move is so freaking good, especially because a lot of Pokemon, especially water types, are able to learn it. I just might consider that teaching it to Snorkel, unless we come across certain other things. We might have to wait on that, because I want to see if we can get a certain Pokemon that would really work well for. The Radio Tower in Goldenrod City is a landmark. They're running a promotional campaign right now. We'll modify your Pokegear so it can also serve as a radio. Yep, we have finally arrived in Goldenrod City, the next destination on our journey. And quite the bustling area. This place has so much that we can see and talk about. But for right now, we have definitely made a lot of progress getting to this point. So I feel like now is a good time to just call things here and rest up. So boy, this has been quite the exciting journey so far, getting to this point. The Coliseum upstairs for Link battles. Battle records tell me times you had Link battles, and the results are recorded on the back of your trainer card. Yep, it's definitely nice to know for people interested in online stuff. Wonder how many kinds of Pokemon there are in the world. Long time ago, Professor Oak said there were 150 different kinds. Since then, many new Pokemon have been discovered in different regions. There are almost 500 different kinds known now. Your math is a little off there, buddy. A higher level Pokemon doesn't always win. After all, it may have a type disadvantage. I don't think there's a single Pokemon that's the toughest. Yeah, for the most part. But yeah, we have definitely made a lot of good progress on this journey so far. And this definitely feels like a nice point where we can and just call things here. Just want to quickly check on our Sahara here. Alright, so you have a docile nature. I believe that's fine for you to have. And you have Trace. Yep, that copies the foe's ability, which could be useful under the right circumstances. So yeah, this has certainly been an exciting stream. Between getting some really interesting encounters, taking care of all the stuff around Azalea Town, and making it all the way here, we've gotten a lot of good progress done, and our team has definitely grown very nicely. Yeah, I'm also feeling restless right now, so this is where we're gonna call things here. It definitely took us a while to get to Goldenrod, but trust me when I say we have a lot to talk about this place and the surrounding areas when we get to it. In fact, we're probably gonna be in this area for a couple of sessions, just to cover everything that we can do. Alright, so thank you for joining me in this part of our SoulSilver Nuzlocke. Next time, we're going to see everything we can in Goldenrod City for the time being, and get ourselves prepped for the next couple of battles, because we are definitely going to be in for a tough one coming up. So until next time, have a good day, and take care.